display of Israel's isolation as it presses on with its war in Gaza.
Please, order in hold. Please, order in hold.
There you saw all those people, officials, diplomats in the UN General Assembly Hall walking out as Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu defended Israel's right to, quote, finish the job against Hamas amid growing accusations of genocide. He also denounced the push to create a Palestinian state. And here's the reception that Netanyahu is getting in Midtown Manhattan, right outside of our studios. Massive crowds of pro-Palestinian protesters, blocks and blocks of them marching from Times Square to the United Nations. I want to bring in Rick Stengel, former Undersecretary of State for Public Diplomacy and Public Affairs and MSNBC political analyst. Netanyahu had a message to deliver, but do you think he got the one being sent to him when all those folks walked out?
Yes, I think that was unmistakable. Chris, what folks have to realize is that 80% of the countries in the UN, more than 150 nations, support a Palestinian state. The UN High Commissioner for Refugees has declared what Israel is doing in Gaza genocide. The UN Commission of Inquiry in the Middle East has declared it a genocide. So you have almost all of these nation states in the UN that support the UN, that supported a Palestinian state, that are against what Israel is doing in Gaza. So this is exactly what happens.
Well, when you watch, and we looked out of our windows of our offices and we saw all those people marching, and as I said, it was block after block after block. Their question would be, if it's 80%, why isn't anyone able to do anything about it?
Well, that's a long time question about the UN. The Security Council is unable to actually do things and make resolutions. They have no way.
The Security Council represents powerful countries.
Yes.
Countries arguably more powerful and certainly more economically powerful than Israel.
Yeah. Well, the only country really that can move the needle on it is the United States, in part because of the bond between Israel and the United States, and the fact that U.S. support for Israel is the thing that keeps Netanyahu able to go to the UN. Netanyahu is actually an indicted war criminal by the International Criminal Court. So I do hope and do think that for this to be resolved, there has to be a two-state solution. The two-state solution sort of went off the radar a few years ago, and now I think it's coming back. Part of the problem, for example, with the Abraham Accords, which Trump negotiated in the first term, which were a good thing, is that, no, you can't really get a reconciliation between the Sunni states and Israel without solving Palestine, and they thought that they could. That was a mistake.
Well, Netanyahu obviously is buying none of that. He had some pretty harsh words for countries who have endorsed Palestinian statehood. One of the biggest stories, really, I think, to come out of this UN summit, listen.
Well, I have a message for these leaders. When the most savage terrorists on earth are effusively praising your decision, you didn't do something right. You did something wrong, horribly wrong. Your disgraceful decision will encourage terrorism against Jews and against innocent people everywhere. It will be a mark of shame on all of you.
So he's going to be meeting with President Trump. And I think one of the fascinating things to watch is after he met in Alaska with President Putin of Russia, we have seen a turnaround. He's much cozier now with the president of Ukraine, much cooler toward President Putin. How important could this meeting be?
I think it's pretty important, Chris. Earlier today, Trump in one of those makeshift press conferences said that he was not endorsing the idea that Israel could annex the West Bank. This is the thing, the definition that Netanyahu has been looking for. He's been moving away from a two-state solution and moving toward an annexation of the West Bank and allowing Israeli settlers to settle in places that is against the UN resolution, against even what the U.S. wanted. So I think that there's going to be a sort of tough love attitude on the part of Donald Trump towards Netanyahu. Donald Trump looks at those same horrible images that we do, the deaths of Palestinian children in Gaza. I think he's going to be pretty tough with Netanyahu about this.
Well, we should say that the president was optimistic once again today that there was going to be a deal on Gaza. He says it's going to be a deal that will get the hostages back, a deal to end the war. Time will tell. Rick Stengel, thank you.
Thanks, Phil.
All right, shalom. Like say, Kolo, Waha, Wala, was all praise on glory, Hebrew, Yahweh, Bashim, Yahshai, Bashim, Karkadash, the bounce, Spots, Elsgrave, and some blessed God, the elect, few citizens, Israelite foreigners. That's what it's doing on the true. All right, yeah, so you can see from that MSNBC news clip. All right, you had Benjamin Netanyahu, all right, up there on the podium of the United Nations. All right, and people walked out, okay? People walked out, man, all right? And as the news report was saying, you got 80% out of 150 nations in the UN, all right, assembly. You had 80, I believe that's what you were saying, so like if I'm quoting it wrong, but basically 80% of the people, all right, that's EU, the EU nations, and even the United Nations. That's a majority. That's more than a majority. All right, of siding with the Palestine, man. All right, and here it is. This guy, he's small has still making up excuses on why the fact that they need to attack Hamas or on as he said, as Netanyahu said, finish the job in Palestine, clearing out that Gaza Strip and grabbing the rest of that remaining area that they feel they belong to them. When there's all types of people coming out against the small hats, all right, saying like, well, you didn't have the land wasn't yours to begin with. The Palestinians was there before you, okay? You just now getting this land that's promised by the British, by this guy Arthur Balfour. All right. Matter of fact, is that his name? I think his name is Alpha. It's named after him. The Balfour Declarations. Yeah, it was named after him. Arthur James Balfour, Prime Minister. That's the Balfour Declarations, named after because he was signed it into law. All right. What was that? Something like that. Yeah. So this madness is going on long enough, as these other nations are seeing what the small hats are doing. All right, and like I said, they saying like